What's up YouTube? This is Matt and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to build a gaming PC. Let's dive right in. So this build guide is based off of my $250 gaming PC, but the steps presented in this video can be used to build just about any PC. Go ahead and grab a Phillips head screwdriver, which is the only tool we need, all of your parts, and find a static-free work area. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your case out. Start by removing the thumb screws for the right side panel. Once these are removed, you can slide off the panel and set it aside. Repeat this for the other side panel. Make sure to place these side panels in a safe place, especially the windowed one because these tend to scratch easily. Now you have access to the inside of the case. The first thing we're going to install is the power supply. In this case, the PSU is mounted in the bottom with the fan facing down. Go ahead and slide it into the case. This is the same orientation for a top-mounted power supply as well. Make sure the holes in the power supply line up with the holes in the back of the case. Now you're going to want to grab the screws that are included with the power supply. Go ahead and screw these in, but don't fully tighten each screw. Once all the screws are in, go ahead and tighten them down in a cross pattern. Next, we are going to install the fans using the fan screws that are included with the case. Look on the side of the fan to see the orientation in which it pushes the air. Now put the fan into place and finger tighten the screws. Now go back with your screwdriver and tighten them all down. For the second fan, I popped off the top panel to install it. This fan is installed in the same fashion. Both of these fans are exhausting air, meaning there will be negative air pressure, which while I'm sure it will adequately cool all of the components, negative air pressure does promote extra dust entering the case, which is something to keep in mind. Next thing you're going to want to do is grab the I/O shield from your motherboard box. Install this into the case by pressing all four corners until they click. Make sure the I/O shield is in the proper orientation when installing it. My motherboard standoffs came pre-installed, but if yours didn't, now is the time to install them into your case in the designated holes. All you need is for them to be finger tight. Screwing the motherboard in later will tighten them the rest of the way. Now you are going to want to place your case off to the side and get out your motherboard box. Take the motherboard out of the box and carefully out of the bag and onto the top of the box, being careful not to touch the board itself. Now you're going to get your CPU out for installation. Make sure to only handle it by the corners to avoid touching the delicate contact points. Now locate the CPU socket and press down on the retention lever and lift it up, opening the socket. Make sure not to touch the pins in the motherboard because once bent, they are very hard to fix. Locate the marked corner on the motherboard socket and the marked corner on the CPU. This tells you the orientation in which you want to install it. Carefully lower the CPU into the socket and you can give it a little wiggle to make sure it's seated properly. Now you can lower the socket cover and press the socket lever back into place. The socket cover will pop off, which you should save in case you need to send the board back at any point. Now you're going to want to grab your RAM. My board only has 2 slots and I'm using 2 sticks, so I'm filling both. But if this isn't the case, you're going to go ahead and consult your motherboard manual for the optimal placement of your RAM. Now go ahead and open both ends of the RAM DIMM slots. Line up the notch in the RAM with the notch in the slot. Now insert the RAM, putting pressure on both sides until the RAM snaps into place with both ends of the slots closing. Repeat this for the other stick. At this point, you're going to insert your motherboard into the case, making sure to line up the motherboard I/O with the I/O shield, and making sure the holes line up with the standoffs. Now screw the motherboard into place, making sure to fill all of the holes. Now we are going to install the CPU cooler. This stock cooler comes with thermal paste pre-installed, but if you're putting on thermal paste, just remember to only use a pea-sized amount and remember less is more. Now locate the CPU fan header and orient the fan so the cable is the least slack to the header. Now carefully place the cooler onto the CPU and press in each corner of the cooler until it snaps into place. Now plug the CPU fan cable into the header labeled CPU fan. Now you are going to want to locate the 20+ 4-pin connector on your power supply that looks like this. Route it through the back of the case and through the hole closest to where it is installed. Now connect this to the motherboard, making sure to line up the notch on the connector with the notch on the header. This only goes in one way, so don't worry about plugging it in wrong. Now locate the 4+ 4-pin power connector that looks like this. Route it through the back of the case and through the hole closest to the header. Now plug in one of the 4-pin connectors into the motherboard. The other one is not needed and can be tucked away out of sight. Now locate your 2 front panel USB connectors. The USB 3 connector also has a USB 2.0 breakout adapter, which we'll be using because this motherboard does not have a USB 3 header. Now route these cables through the back of the case and through the holes nearest the two USB headers. Now plug both of these into place, making sure to line up the pins with the connector correctly. Now locate the front panel cable that says HD audio, route it to the J Audio 1 header and plug it in. Now locate the rest of the front panel connectors and locate the JFP1 header. These are plugged in differently for each motherboard. Here's the diagram for this board, but yours may be different, so consult your manual. Now plug these cables in with the proper orientation. All of your front panel connectors are now installed. Next, locate a Molex power connector on your PSU and route it to the back of the case. This is for the fans. Also route the fan cables and the front panel fan controller cable to the back. Now plug in the fans following the directions on the controller cable. When done, it should look like this. If you have regular fans with connectors like the CPU fan, just locate free fan headers on the motherboard and plug them in. Now we're ready to install our hard drive. Locate and route a SATA power cable like this to the back of the case near the hard drive cage. Now grab a SATA data cable and plug it into one of the free SATA ports on the motherboard. Also route this to the back of the case by the hard drive cage. Now remove the top hard drive caddy. Bend the caddy open and insert the drive. No screws are needed, as you can see the drive is very secure. Now insert the caddy back into the cage and plug in the SATA power and data cables. Now it is time to install the GPU. First, you're going to remove the PCIe covers. In some cases, you remove thumb screws and slide them out. In this one, you bend them back and forth until they break free. In this build, we're removing the top two. Now that those are removed, go ahead and install your graphics card into the slot. Now secure the graphics card with two of the included screws. Some GPUs require external power, but this one does not. Now it's time to cable manage everything. Use twist ties, zip ties, or whatever else you have to control and neaten up the cable management. Now that the PC is cable managed, you can put the side panels back on the same way you took them off. At this point, you can plug in the PC and turn it on. If the fans spin up and the PC boots to BIOS, you've done everything right and you're ready to load your operating system of choice. Congratulations, because you've just completed your build, and once your OS is installed, you're ready to dive right in. So yeah, this wraps this video up, guys. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, as well as consider subscribing. And this is Matt from Tech by Matt, signing out.